Calon lan yn llawn daioni, tegach yw yn y lili dlos. Dim ond calon lan all ganu, Alun, ti'n gwybod? A canu'r dydd a chanu'r nos.
Indeed, indeed. Oh, such dulcet tones there.
So, welcome. It's the B-Wise Chronicles again. And we're here to talk some more nostalgic 80s VHS goodness. And
Indeed.
So this time out, we've got a couple of rescue films.
A double bill, a rescue double bill.
Which were popular in the day, specifically as our first film, P.O.W, The Escape, in the wake of things like Missing in Action and Rambo and stuff. It was NAM rescue films, wasn't it?
Yes. One was, NAM rescue films, yes, indeed.
And then for the second half, we have actually something I misremembered as being a NAM rescue film, but it turns out to be a Columbia rescue film as opposed to a NAM.
I mean, yes, indeed. It was an all-star bill in that one, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, but formula's pretty much the same, right? They just changed the location.
Change the location and change the if they were professional or not. Yeah.
And then I suppose, although I suppose also I was thinking it was coming in the wake of Iron Eagle would have been a big hit around the same time, right? Which was
Iron Eagle, yeah.
Rescue thing. And do you remember that one a bit later, just called The Rescue?
Yes, with Kevin Dillon.
Yeah.
Oh, basically, it was just screaming vibes to me of The Rescue.
Yeah.
But the only disappointment was, and as a child, probably you as well, I really, at the end of The Rescue, I really wanted to have a go in those tunnels.
See, I don't remember much about, I don't know if I've ever seen The Rescue, but...
I saw it multiple times.
But
I could almost, at one point, recite it almost.
But I'm keen to now, because I'm very interested in the North Korea angle. So you mentioned the tunnels. So do they escape through the tunnels under the DMZ? Is that...
Yeah, so, well, no, the tunnels, they were more or less, they were water tunnels, water pipes, big pipes coming down the mountain. So, the camera tracked as they were going through all the noises, etc. And, yeah, it looked like hundreds of meters of just slip sliding away.
All right, okay. Now I'm going to have to take a look at... we might do it on here then. We might have a follow-up rescue double bill.
Rescue Part 2.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go first then with P.O.W, The Escape, also known as Attack Force NAM from 1986. So do you remember watching this back in the day?
I remember there was a series of them, P.O.W, and but I didn't remember it exactly watching it earlier. So yeah, it was new but old new.
I see. See, that's odd because I have specific. They might be false memories, but I have memories of watching this in your grandmother's living room, I thought.
No, we never watched this there because I remember you speaking of it. And it was on, late night BBC 2, etc., or Channel 4 probably. And you being excited that it was on. And I think, if I remember...
I can't imagine this was something that played on television.
Or... I remember it was VHS and it was probably in the carps there and we always wanted to rent it, but never did.
I'm thinking...
I remember the cover of P.O.W.
See, I'm
But I
blank
don't.
on what P.O.W. was. Was that a retitled sequel to this or something else?
Again, I'm gonna have to look into it because literally just finishing it now. So I don't think Carradine would have been in that one. It might have been just like a use the title, someone different kind of thing.
Do you remember anything about P.O.W.
No, I don't. Not well. I'll probably if I started watching it, I probably would. But I need to probably Google what the cover looked like. The cover is very vivid in my memory, but
Oh, really? So it was
Yeah.
definitely called P.O.W.
yeah.
Was it? Because I was trying to have a look for. Is it the number 2 or the numerals 2? Think of you.
I think it would have been the 2 because I think Roman numerals would have been too confusing because let's face it, there's a demograph for that film, so otherwise they'd have gone power left. I haven't seen the other 10 yet.
It's funny. I just typed it in. I'm trying to look for images. The only thing I got on YouTube is the very best of Fireman Sam 2. Someone's ripped that to YouTube, so I know what I'm doing this weekend.
Oh, it's that bloody Norman. He's at it again.
Yeah.
He was being an ass.
No one left behind.
Yeah. Bloody hell, Norman.
So yes, so yeah, no, what I was gonna say is I think the other option might have been, so I remember my a man who worked in our local creamery with my father, he, I can't remember where he lived. He lived somewhere, somewhere that had, like, so regionally, some places had access to cable television in.
Yeah.
In,
Okay.
I remember, like before people started having individual satellite dishes. Before that was common. There were some.
I remember we had ours. I think we had our satellite dish in 1990.
Right, but before that, I remember the 80s, there were some places that had like the community was served by one, there was like one place with a dish.
All right.
And if you subscribe to their cable, then you had access to it that way. And so I remember there was a bloke in work with my dad who he would have just taped shitloads of films off cable.
Okay.
He bought a cardboard box load of films into work and just gave it to my dad, and he brought it home. And I remember seeing, so it might have been on there maybe because it's the kind of thing that would have played. So I remember
there was one satellite. It was called Hotbird, and it was a satellite above Holland, I think. So it would have had all the European films and the saucy ones as well.
Filth, Alan.
Filth, but I remember someone talking about it, and it was 33 degrees or whatever it was. That was Hotbird, and it was basically over Holland.
Right. No, there was nothing that exciting in this box, but there was Conan the Destroyer, I think, was because I remember watching that before Barbarian, and
yeah, I saw Destroyer before Barbarian because I didn't enjoy Barbarian after watching Destroyer because it was all action. Barbarian was all story in it.
Yeah, Destroyer is more fun for kids, isn't it?
Oh, very much so, yeah.
Because I remember him ripping the horn off that thing at the end, and yeah.
He just had a really cool sword.
Yeah, and there was there was a whole bunch of Conan-y rip-off things, and anyway, I remember a lot of things from that box, and then my dad just gave it back, and I think then it went to a lot of stuff got passed around the creamery.
Oh yeah,
contraband.
Oh, contraband. Right then. Do you want to be interested with your margarine?
So anyway, so when you were watching P.O.W. this game this time, do you think you had seen it before in some form or another, or was this the first viewing?
I'll say it's first viewing, but you know it echoes many others. So
yeah.
I mean, you've got the Chuck Norris missing an action role. You've got the Sylvester Stallone kind of role where it's almost like John Wick, but prior to John Wick, where you know you kill 500 people and you're going to scratch on yourself.
Right. So this one stars David Carradine, who's a bit autopilot in this one, I think, isn't he? He's one for the cash, I think, this one.
One for the cash, but also you can tell that he still has muscle memory from just ambling through an episode of Kung Fu. I just ambled through, instead of being in a Midwest town, he's in the Philippine jungle.
Yeah, the good thing about David Carradine is even when he was on autopilot, like you said, he still has a certain screen charisma that some other action stars of the era didn't have, right?
Oh fuck, I don't know. Sometimes he seems really wooden, mind.
Yeah, he did. The first scene where he's basically given his marching orders is a bit
yeah. Yeah,
you mentioned Kung Fu. I think the same year as this as well. I think he was maybe in that.
In the twilight of that movie.
Yeah, was it called Kung Fu Big? Something. There was like a TV movie.
It was a TV show. It was a TV show.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, Kung Fu, and he was a bit like the littlest hobo going from town to town helping people.
No. I remember Kung Fu. What I mean is specifically this, because that was like in the 70s. This year,
yeah,
there was like a TV movie sequel or prequel or something to it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Never really saw much Kung Fu, so no.
No, it wasn't on. It was a little bit before our time, and it wasn't on that much in repeats until we started getting a bit too old to be watching any old crap that was on telly, right?
Yeah, indeed.
But
we got a bit picky in our old age.
Yeah, but you're very fondly remembered by people who grew up with it.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Carradine for us is Kill Bill, and what else was he?
Well, for me, he's P.O.W. The Escape.
I mean, for me, from now on, it will be also.
Right. Yeah, famous because Kung Fu, I think, famously started life as it was supposed to be a vehicle for Bruce Lee, right? But basically, Bruce Lee got slowly pushed out of the picture, and you ended up with the very non-Asian David Carradine.
Very much so. Yeah, and in one scene in this one, he's bringing out his Kung Fu tricks, and yeah, it's looking like a geriatric doing Kung Fu.
Yeah, exactly. So it's 1973. The Paris peace talks are on. So to make a big show of I guess US foreign policy, David Carradine is tasked with sending in a team to get some POWs out of North Vietnam, but not in a non-clandestine way, right? Because they want to send a message, and David Carradine's like quite angry about that because he thinks it's a stupid idea, and he's right because they end up in a trap, and he gets captured. His men get killed, and he gets captured by Mako, who runs this, one of those typical POW camps where they're made to stay in those bamboo cages in the river.
Yeah, I have fond memories doing that as a child. So.
Yeah. Well,
the wise of Clive sign.
Yeah, I mean, harsh but fair, I think, is the way you were raised.
I mean, kids these days don't know their ball.
No. A session in the bamboo cage in the river, and
yeah,
you won't be shoplifting sweets anymore.
Roger Paper. He was Mako.
He was. So he ends up in it, and there's some other POWs, obviously, including Steve James, the action star of the 80s, and a guy I wasn't familiar with, Charles Grant or Charles R. Floyd. He's kind of the asshole one, right? Who's always causing trouble. and I think he might have been on some soap opera at the time.
Oh, right, okay.
The Bold and the Beautiful, or The World Turns, or one of those things that we didn't really watch. But
I was on The Ball and the Beautiful.
Bold and the Beautiful, yes, you still are.
Yeah.
You still are.
I am. I mean, the beauty's gone. You know.
But the Bald is eternal.
I mean, yeah, polish that dome, you know.
So yes, so a little bit different from usual, I suppose. Mako is kind of keen to make a deal to escape over to American lines rather than report back to. So basically, the high. So David Carradine's character is a colonel. He's the most. He's the highest ranking POW that they have, right? So they want
in custody.
Yes, so they want to transfer him to the notorious Hanoi Hotel, I guess, for
tea and crumpets.
Yeah, for tea and crumpets and a bit of torture. And Mako thinks, well, so he's trying to like, yeah, he's trying to
see the writings on the wall, so he wants his exit strategy, doesn't he?
Yeah, and get out to the States, and he's like, well, I can stop you from and you and your men from being tortured. And there's also some gold involved from somewhere or other. He's got some pilfered gold, right?
Yeah, I think every kind of POW who came in, I think he, pilfered everything they had, and he's been keeping it in his treasure chest.
His piggy bank.
Piggy bank, yes, indeed.
And so they all make a break for it, and they try and double cross, get away from Mako, and along the way they end up coming across another unit in the jungle as well and helping them out, and they go on some canoes down the river and over a waterfall. And I misremembered that. I was wondering if I was thinking of another film, or if I was mixing up one of the bamboo, because there's bamboo jungle traps and stuff in one. For some reason, I seem to remember there was a scene, I don't know if this rings a bell with you, where they're going on those canoes down a river and they go over a waterfall, and then people end up impaled on bamboo sticking out the river. Does that sound familiar from anything? Is that
I think one of the most the vivid kind of torture bamboo things I remember is from the Green Berets with John Wayne, but where the guy goes into a noose, goes upside down, and then swings into like a bamboo stick wall. But no, the impaled one, no, I can't remember. No, that one, no.
I think I might just be misremembering then.
Well, you might be mixing up with the Goonies, because they had water, and they fell and almost got impaled on bamboo.
No, I don't think it's I think I knew the Goonies. I knew the Goonies pretty well growing up, because it was very important in kickstarting my puberty, I think.
Oh, Kerry Green.
Yeah, exactly. which was what's the word I'm looking for? Which is understandable, because I was a young lad. I was very young. Now all those grown men on set who made a run around in that tennis outfit, that's a bit more suspect.
Maybe they knew the target audience.
Yeah, maybe. Still, thank you and all that, but I'm just saying, it's a bit dodgy. So, and also Lucas as well, I seem to remember there was some even more prominent upskirt Kerry Green action in that film, I seem to remember.
My name is Lucas.
Was it called My Name is Lucas as well? I don't know.
Well, it was meant for something. It was an acronym, wasn't it?
Are you thinking of Daryl?
Oh, Daryl, sorry, yes. Daryl, I was.
Here we go. Here's a bit of wasted memory cells. I actually remember the acronym.
Oh, hang on. Lucas was Corey Haim, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Daryl was Data Analysis Retrieval Youth Life Form.
Do.
Because oddly enough, we were just watching for the other show. Ron tortured me by choosing Short Circuit, and they basically kind of have the same plot. Short Circuit and Daryl.
Well, probably. I mean, I haven't seen either for 30 years probably. So it's been a while.
Whereas Goonies, what you were watching last night just before you went to bed.
Well, it's my Monday night retreat.
Yes, Wank Bank favourite all these years. So
yeah, throw Mama from the train is another one.
Really?
I mean, she gets my motor running.
Right. Anyway, so I forget her name now, but she had throat cancer or something, didn't she? So that's why she ended up talking like that.
Oh, right, okay. I don't know. I thought she was an extra from a Benny Hill movie because he liked them big.
So this was a canon release, of course. As always, Philippines standing in for Vietnam and there's the expected shootouts, explosions, stunts, good stunt work. You can't fault the stunt work and stuff like that.
Yeah, stunt work was good. How many times has Philippines have been that's been shut up more than actual Vietnam itself, probably.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking people living in the Philippines in the 80s must have thought they were at war because there was people over there blowing ordnance up left, right, and centre.
It's already made film set because there's shit left over,
Yeah, I'm wondering if like in Cambodia, there's still mines left over from the Khmer Rouge. I wonder if you might step on some ordnance left over by a Hollywood production or Hong Kong one or something, on some small island, because they've got a lot of islands. It's amazing how many islands.
Yeah, was it all just centrally on one place then? So if they did shoot something up, they didn't actually mess things up. I don't know if the actual location was.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I don't think they gave a shit, and they probably just they went anywhere they could blow stuff up without anyone bothering them, right?
Yeah, there is that. Yeah. Oh, you got money? Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah. I mean, way back to the Apocalypse Now, right? Apocalypse Now shot in the Philippines as well, and there's that opening scene where you see like a jungle just go up in flames, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that they did just set a huge portion of the jungle on fire. It's kind of something you wouldn't think about doing now. I'm pretty sure no one, they didn't send any advanced parties in to save all the little animals and warn them that their house is about to be...
and just the fuel and the napalm, and because they did have to use napalm for it to burn effectively as well.
Yeah. So they just incinerate huge parts of the jungle. Yeah, bye endangered species, and and that's someone relatively kind of limousine liberal, right, in the form of Francis Ford Coppola, but I'm guessing other people gave even less of a shit about
yeah.
Anyway, that aside,
yeah, we digress.
How much enjoyment did you manage to get out of P.O.W. The Escape?
I enjoyed our other on the double bill more.
Okay, well, we'll get to that.
But this one, how could I encompass it?
See, interesting you say that, though. See, I think I enjoyed this one. I didn't particularly love it, but I think I enjoyed this one a bit more than the other one.
Well, this one went faster.
Yes, exactly.
This one flowed a hell of a lot faster. I mean, this one was, 142 minutes or whatever. And I was like, oh, am I halfway through yet? And I was way over. I was almost 3/4 through.
Yeah, no, I don't
because it was just the same kind of nonsensical, all right, he's going to break someone out of there, and then he's breaking someone out. It was basically 3 acts of the same thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't distracted enough to kind of, look at my phone and try and do this and the other. But, I mean, it didn't take any, you didn't have to, there wasn't a plot line to follow. well, there was, but there wasn't something you had to really concentrate on.
Yeah, it's funny when it started off and they had the whole stuff about the Paris peace talks and stuff like that, and then Mako, trying to get out, and I thought, oh, this is I thought this is a little bit. They tried to do something a little bit more involved than just let's get our boys out of there, but in the end it did just play pretty much like that and got very flag wavy towards the end, right? And
oh yes, yeah. Well, no man left behind, and
yeah. In fact, I think somewhere in the last scene, I think David Carradine at one point is even actually draped in the American flag, I think, if I remember.
Yeah, for some reason, he takes it there in the midst of battle and running for safety. He goes, do you know what would be really safe right now? Grabbing that flag. I'm going to pull this flag down with all these bullets flying.
Do you remember that scene at the end of, Rocky IV, where Sylvester Stallone wrapped himself up with the flag? That was popular. We'll do that.
Exactly. And was it? Oh yeah, because Rocky IV was 84, was it? 84, 85?
85, I think.
Yeah.
And that was full on. That was peak America. Yeah.
Right. If I can change and you can change, we can all change.
Yes. And even James Brown turns up, if you remember, dressed as Uncle Sam, singing "Living in America."
Exactly.
Yeah. You couldn't make this shit up.
Well, you could only do it now as a parody.
Oh yeah. Well, it is basically Team America World Police without the irony and puppets, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and then they drape the hero, the savior, then with said flag at the end also. So,
and even the asshole character is like kind of given a pass at the end, isn't he? Like, well, you're a total douche, but at least you're American, like.
Yeah. But no, it's so that character, when he's being chased down, I mean, it's probably one of the slowest chase scenes going through a crowd. If you're really desperate to go, you're going to mow everybody down.
Yeah. No. So yeah, like it does kind of zip along, and it's not too painful, but it's pretty much in one year, out the other, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't need to see it for another 30 years if I did see it when I was,
Yeah.
way back when.
Also worth mentioning that one character, the smart one, then mentions that when he gets back to the US, he wants to meet a girl with mammary glands the size of Buicks, which seems a bit excessive to me.
I mean, that would give you a bad back, wouldn't it?
Yes, be careful what you wish for, I think.
Yes, I mean, poor girl.
Yeah. There's no need to make fun of the afflicted.
Exactly. So, I mean, if she's got mammary glands that size, what else is big on her?
Well, yeah. So, also worth mentioning that two of the screenwriters on this, Malcolm Barber and John Langley, went on to create TV reality show sensation Cops.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Which I believe is still running to this day, I think, as far as I know.
Yeah, well, I've never been an active Cops watcher, but everybody knows the theme, obviously. But no, I think it's so ingrained. Yeah, it's probably some way or form.
Yeah,
still going.
Well, I think there's probably so many imitations followed in his wake, right? It's kind of difficult to sort out what's still on and what isn't, and all that. But
and it's probably repeated so many times anyway.
Right.
It's all syndicated, so
yeah. My favorite variant on the Cops formula is, of course, that one.
Stop or my mum will shoot.
No, even better than that. Steven Seagal Lawman. I don't know if you've ever watched that show.
I haven't, but yeah, he self-appointed himself sheriff, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think he's the sheriff of some small town for like a week, a year, or something like that. Like, It's
almost as bad.
hilarious. It is hilarious though, because he does give himself like almost supernatural powers where he can detect that someone, 10 blocks away might have a concealed weapon, or it's
Okay.
quite hilarious.
Almost,
I would recommend
like,
watching an episode or two of Steven Seagal Lawman.
Is it a bit like Elvis when he wanted to become an FBI agent?
I think I would trust Elvis as an FBI agent more than Steven Seagal. Even Nixon wouldn't have given Steven Seagal a shield, I think.
No, there's a conceal and carry 3 blocks away.
It is like that, and then you get this woo, like zoom effect, and yeah.
Only used in Jaws and Steven Seagal Lawman.
It's rather amusing. So there's P.O.W. We shall escape. See what I did there from that. And, you see, you can tell I'm a professional. And now,
okay, Houdini.
It's Let's Get Harry.
Indeed.
Also from 1986, a US-Mexican co-production this time. So before we get into the business with this one then, do you remember seeing this one?
No, I do not. And I had a quick, between watching both of these, I had a quick scour, and because I looked and I was like, is that Mark Hamill? And he was. But, you only get a glimpse at the start, and then a glimpse, 3/4 of the way through.
Mark Harmon.
Hammond, sorry, not Hamill. Hammond, yeah. And then I had to have a quick look and IMDb and all that jazz. And go on to find out that year he was like world's sexiest man or some shit. And then I think he was just cannon fodder, he was just eye candy in this just to get bums on seats, I think.
Well, yeah, he was in Saint Elsewhere, wasn't he? That television series, which I remember being popular, but not really. It was one of those shows, it was one of those shows that turned up on UK television on Channel 4, but was of little interest to us at that age because we were kids, so I put it in the same category as something like 30 something, if you remember.
Yeah, and then it got overshadowed by it got overshadowed by ER then, didn't it?
Yes, I think so. It was a proto kind of ER show, wasn't it? But it was so this is an Alan Smithy movie, right?
And because of the intro, bringing him back in now, which I read. Yes,
exactly. So the real director was Stuart Rosenberg. Was kind of interesting guy. Started off in the days of live television in New York. He's of that generation and got some interesting credits. He made things like Pope of Greenwich Village, the first Amityville horror, Brubaker, Cool Hand Luke.
Okay.
And a film I really like a lot called The Laughing Policeman with Walter Matthau and Bruce Dern. That's a good film. I made one more film after this. My heroes have always been cowboys, which I don't think I've ever seen, but and then he died.
I mean, I share the same sentiment.
Yeah, Gary Busey.
I love a cowboy.
I know you do. But the cowboy doesn't always love you back. That's the problem, and that's.
As much as I try, you're right.
That's when you get those restraining orders.
Exactly.
Just like I'm not allowed anywhere near Kerry Green.
But when she's wearing a schoolgirl uniform.
So Stuart Rosenberg got his name taken off. Like you said, because they decided to pop in a bit more Mark Harmon that was originally there. So I was keen to rewatch this just because of the Alan Smithy thing, and I remember just thinking it was a bit bland when I was a kid, and then wanted to watch it again just to see now if you could see how it had been interfered with, and it might have been an interesting film to begin with.
So
but
where did it start then?
say again.
Where did it start then? Obviously, they added that little bit in the front where he's there and being manhandled or whatever. But where did it start with just going back to the hometown, going, oh no,
yeah,
Harry's,
I think apparently it just started with so the plot is they're expecting this guy back, his brother and his friends are expecting this guy back in their hometown because he's been building like a dam or something in Colombia, and he gets kidnapped by terrorists, I guess, and and basically the plot is that his brother and his mates decide, because the government aren't going to do anything because the terrorists want them to release some political prisoners or something, so they go in and get, Nam rescue style.
Well, it does help when the plumbers, so they make like fittings and pipes, and then all those skills, you can use all those skills when you go to a third world country, and try and overthrow them.
Yes, that's why Super Mario Brothers were always involved in all those coups, right? Teamed up
Indeed.
with the CIA. Yeah, so they go, and they also hook up with a mercenary in the form of Robert Duvall.
Which again, screaming, doing it for the cash.
Yes, but I suppose having Robert Duvall in your film kind of raises your profile a little bit, doesn't it?
I mean, in fairness, Gary Busey's in it.
Yes.
Harmon is in it. Who else?
We should mention Gary Busey. Yes, Gary Busey, a Biff himself. Yeah. We should mention that Gary Busey is like a used car salesman who they go to fund their mission, and he decides he wants to come along with his teeth, right? And it's always fun to have Gary Busey about, I think.
Well, you mentioned you enjoyed the P.O.W. more than this. Well, yeah, fucking hell, you got Gary Busey in it. You didn't have Gary Busey in P.O.W.
No, I know, you're right. Gary Busey makes everything better, but
especially when he's got his, that laugh, and he uses it quite a few times in this.
But like you said, this is just too long and quite boring. So that counteracts a lot of the Busey goodness, right?
And how these, factory workers, defeat mercenaries is,
Top.
Very much so, yeah. And when the Boys of Summer guy is, taking coke in the corner as well.
Well, who's the Boys of Summer guy? Because
no, that's Don Henley. Sorry, I'm talking Glenn.
Oh, Glenn Frey of the Eagles.
Yeah.
That's a bit of an odd casting decision, isn't it?
But going back, he did a lot in that time period.
Did he?
I'm pretty sure he's in Glengarry Glen Ross.
Is he? Because I looked him up. I know he's in Jerry Maguire.
He's in Jerry Maguire. He does a lot. He acts a lot of those smarmy characters. Now he does look very similar to the guy from Roadhouse, but it's not him. But I know he's in at least, I think, Glengarry Glen Ross. He's like the main boss who appoints Alec Baldwin, I'm pretty sure.
No, that's not Glenn Frey. I don't think. I think you're confusing him with someone else.
I'm pretty sure he does cameos in like a Simpson Bruckheimer films.
See, I reckon you must be. So I'm looking him up now, and he's in an episode of Nash Bridges.
Okay.
And Jerry Maguire, and this, and then Eagles music videos. So if I were to look up Glengarry Glen Ross now, I'm wondering if I might discover who the man you confuse him with is?
I'm sure he's in that.
No, you must be thinking of a lookalike. But yeah,
Maybe.
Anyway,
Anyway, I digress.
yes. Yeah, so they go to Colombia, and you know, there's nothing here at all, even in the least, about. There's no interest in why these terrorists might be doing what they, and there's no discussion of, you know, what these Americans are doing in Colombia, or you know, it's very,
and how they get there, and you know, the legalities of just. I
It-
mean,
it's
if
very
they were
black
being
and white.
followed, I mean, Biff and the brother, they go to Washington first. So if they were being followed, they'd be like, "What the fuck are these guys doing?"
Yeah, but it's very good guys and bad guys. There's no, like, you know, there's no thought given to, you know, if these terrorists actually have, you know, some grievances or anything like that. We're not interested in that, right? We're just interested in the Nam rescue mentality. Yeah, so you mentioned, yeah, so the brother was someone I didn't know, Michael Schoffling, who was in 16 Candles. Apparently he had quite a major role in that.
Oh, he's the main guy where Ringwald likes.
Yeah, he might be. Yeah, I don't remember, but I just looked him up, and he seems to have been like, he had like 2 or 3 big roles, and that's about it. So I'm not sure why he was. I don't know. And then Rick Rossovich is the one. He's the one who ends up going back home because they're kind of
Well, he had to get back to Top Gun, didn't he?
Yeah. The US government tried to extricate them at some point, and they escape. Apart from one guy who hasn't really been on board from the beginning, right?
Indeed.
And then
who looks like he should have been the most on board.
Yeah, and then you've got Ekpedia. Is that how you pronounce it? Ekpedia Cariello, who's the girl they meet who helps them, right?
I mean, yeah, that was an interesting kind of scene in the house as well. So
he tortures her with the cigarette. Yeah, she's of course
famous. I thought it was going to go a different way, but you know,
yeah. Well, she's of course famous for being super hot in Salvador, right? She was James Woods's girlfriend, and she's also in Predator, if you remember.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Also notable, when they audition for people to help them, they check the ads in the back of Soldier of Fortune magazine, don't they? And it's like a montage of people who like audition to go. And one of them's David Hess, who plays Krug in Last House on the Left, right? I was like, oh, David Hess. I don't remember David Hess being in this film, but he's in it for like 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, he's the one with the bad English accent.
I can't remember what he does. I just remember, oh, David Hess. I didn't remember.
Yeah, kill a lot of people, kill them all. Thank God sort them out.
No, that was someone. That was like the weedy guy who'd pretended he'd been like every conflict zone ever, right? That was
yeah.
No, not him, but yeah. So so as well, I was looking this up. So apparently, this film, in terms of like visibility in the US, it got the Alan Smithy thing on it, and it apparently it got barely released, right? Like it was very much something that just came and went, and no one remembers it. But now, let's see if you remember this different from me. I seem to remember it having quite a high visibility as a video release in the UK, though. Like, this is something I remember being around. To the point where I would, again, this might be my memory playing tricks with it. This is where you come in handy. I think this might have been on the cover of, what was the name of that like handout brochure for video releases? What was it called again? Flicks. I knew you'd remember. There we go. Yeah, so there was this thing that
video. You'd get that at the cinema as well.
Did you?
Yeah, they'd hand it out in the cinema. It was a book at the cinema.
I remember picking it up. Sal's video in Llandilo had it. Because yeah, in our little my little village that you would occasionally come and invade, and rescue POWs from.
Well, that's what I thought someone was being held captive in the river.
Yeah, there was people in bamboo cages on the common, and you had to come and rescue them. There was one camp on the Bran, and there was one on the south there, and you had to get no man left behind.
Yeah, and then the Zulu point was the common.
Yeah. So yeah, in whatever pub or small back room that was doing double duty as a video shop didn't get those brochures, so we had to go all the way to Llandilo in enemy territory to get those. But I remember we used to pore over those.
Yeah, I mean, it was only like not even 20 pages. It was very flimsy. It was very thrown together. But yeah, I remember you'd pick it up on the coming out of the cinema, or if you went to the movie, or whatever. Not that I went that often. I mean, but
and I don't remember that many covers. I remember one. Howard the Duck was definitely a cover film one time. I remember that. But I also seem to think I kind of remember Let's Get Harry being a
well, they must have milked the Hammond kind of angle, because let's face it, Sexiest Man, all that jazz, isn't it? So they would have gone down that route.
I don't know, because I don't know how much Saint Elsewhere would have been a big hit in the UK.
Well, he's just kind in the eye. Come on. I
guess, but he's not on the. I don't remember him being on the cover though. I remember like.
Listen to your loins now. Listen to your loins now. Not your brain.
Oh, that's how I get into trouble, Alan. I remember Duval's face and Gary Busey. I just seem to remember this being like, maybe it was their last chance. Like it flopped in, because that happens. I've noticed, because
it's easier to market over here because
I think so.
At home rather than here, because America is so vast and trying to influence. But then let's face it, in Britain, you went on BBC One, you were on BBC ITV and Channel 4. Boom, that was it.
Exactly. So I think there was a lot of product now that was pushed much more heavily. Similarly to, so by and large, like when we were growing up, there'd be a huge gap between US releases in the theatre and UK. So we would, if we watched cinema on late night ITV, you'd get a glimpse into the future, right? Like I remember watching that and like finding out, Speed, and we didn't get it for like 6 months later or something in those days. And it was
ridiculous. Yes, I
was quite the cool kid for a while there, because I knew about Speed, because I watched cinema hosted by Richard Tuna, whatever the fuck his name was.
Yeah, there was that, and then the Hollywood Hit Factory or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Same show, I think. I think they just changed the title, right? It was the top 10 countdown and like a couple of piece segments on new releases, right? But if you kept up to date with it, you knew what was coming into UK theatres way before anyone else. Anyway, the reason I mentioned it is now that's kind of changed, right? You tend to get day and date for big releases now. It's pretty much all compressed, right? Except Japan is still kind of a bit of an outlier, because we don't really have so much of a bootlegging problem with downloads and stuff. Plus, as well, things have to be subtitled for the local market. So even if people were downloading things, they wouldn't understand what was going on. So I've noticed sometimes you'll have ads run on television here for theatrical releases that have flopped in other markets. I think Japan's like the last chance that they have to recoup, right? So you get a certain push for certain type of films.
And they don't have to be that good, because they do like that Western culture kind of thing. So
well, it's their last chance. It's like, okay, well, usually it's Japan is the last release date, and here's our chance now, make some money back. So you often, it's just noticeable. You see it pushed more than films that were more popular, because they don't need the extra push, right? But you'll
Mhm.
so yeah, so I'm thinking it's a similar thing that when Let's Get Harry got dumped on the UK video market, they were like, okay, these fucking limeys will go and see this thing that no one else is interested in. So let's put it on the cover of that. What's that shitty little magazine brochure thing they've got? Oh, Flicks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know it. Yeah, they got it in Sal's video and in Landilo. And yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, would be my guess. Right. So, what? Yeah. So did you enjoy Let's Get Harry more then? Did you than
I enjoyed it more.
Okay.
Because, like we said, P.O.W had, let's say, 3 acts. This one had, I don't know, 8 or whatever, because it just the original. Well, even if it was short-lived, the first act was the kidnappings. That was one, and then the homecoming, the non-homecoming was another one, and then trying to, recruit, which was a good 5 minutes. That was fun.
The recruit scene was fun. I enjoyed the recruiting scene. Yeah.
And so on and so forth. I mean, it got a bit farcical when they go into battle, and spoiler alert, the main guy doesn't make it, and you're like, shouldn't he be? Because he was the narrator, he was the translator, he was the navigator, he was the man at arms, he was everything, wasn't he? And then you're supposed to believe these 4 factory workers from Iowa or wherever they were, Illinois, we're going to navigate through the jungle of Cambodia.
Colombia, even.
Colombia, yeah. Well, I would have been lost too then.
Yeah, you'd have been totally the wrong place.
Yeah, I'd have rescued the wrong brother.
You'd have gone to the trouble of learning Commie and everything, but everyone's talking fucking Spanish.
Yeah, but then again, I would have to have gotten there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, fair enough. I can see why someone might be more favorable towards this, just because it's kind of a bit more ambitious, I suppose, in its scope than P.O.W. But P.O.W. is just in out, wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and I mean, my main problem with this is it's mostly quite boring. There isn't much in the way of really exciting action.
It was still only a short film, was it? An hour and a half, hour and 3/4, whatever it was. But yes, it did drag.
No, it's 100.
Whereas the other one did.
It's 103 minutes. This one actually, which is too long. I think it could have dropped 20 minutes or. Oddly enough, not necessarily the stuff with Mark Hamill, like that stuff at the beginning when he's kidnapped and stuff. That's fine. That's a pretty good setup, right? And the homecoming didn't, like, for the first 15-20 minutes, I thought, oh, this might turn out to be all right, like a bit, nothing special, but well put together, nuts and bolts, little thriller. And then I don't know, there's a hole in the tire somewhere, the air just goes out of it at some point, and yeah, for me,
yeah, it's so when it comes to the actual film, going back to The Rescue, I think that was done and dusted, 90 minutes probably, and that went well. That went quick as well.
Right.
It was a little more believable because in that one, the kids are offspring of special forces rather than factory workers.
I'm guessing that was the influence of what the fuck was that film?
Maybe thinking of Navy SEALs,
No, not Navy SEALs. There was the other one. The one again. It was the like kids of Sean Austin was in it, I think.
Oh yeah, you're thinking of Toy Soldiers.
Toy Soldiers, yeah. That kind of thing. I think there was one even before.
Well, there we go. Then that's the next one. Then we can do a Toy Soldiers: The Rescue.
Well, how about next for that one? I'm up for that. Toy Soldiers: The Rescue. Our Rescue Part 2. Because I found another. Because yeah, it's fun when these things come together organically, right? So that's one. Yeah. But another one I think you'll be keen on doing. So the guy who wrote the script for this, Charles Robert Garner, also wrote Jim McCarter and Blind Fury.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking we'll do Jim Carter and Blind Fury,
Okay.
and then we can do Toy Soldiers and The Rescue. How about that?
A bit of Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, there we go. The future's bright. The future's
But and
P.O.W.
also,
Chronicles.
if you're not because The Rescue is a little similar. No, I remember it as one name, but I don't know if you ever saw this film. I think I remember trying to badger you all the time. It was kids espionage, and it was called Zits.
I've never seen Zits, but I do remember the title. I'm up for watching Zits.
Because and the reason I remember I watched it probably religiously every Saturday morning, because when Sky came out first, you had Sky Movies. Essentially, I think they only had like a pool of 50 movies or something like that.
Right.
And basically, I mean, this is a PG rated film, and it was kids. It was basically it's basically an espionage version of Goonies kind of thing. I'm guessing they made it to that, going for like the kids adventure kind of thing. But I do remember it being really fun, and I'd watched it every week for, Saturday mornings. I'd get up, I'd watch Transworld Sport for all that, and then I'd watch Zits, and then there was another one as well. It'll come back to me, but it was just one of those kind of kids feel good films. I'm not going to give you too much of the plot for you to see it then, but yeah, I remember it being fun. Well, but I don't know if it was working title Zits in America or Britain.
Well, I've certainly not seen it, so I'm up for that. And if you can think of a companion piece to it, then we have our next 3 shows lined up for us.
Yeah, because I'll have to look, because it was another thing I'd watch along the same kind of vibe. Yeah, I'll think of it.
Yeah. No, that sounds that all sounds good. So I think that's about it for this edition of B-Wise Chronicles, don't you, Alan?
So between both, you still go for P.O.W.
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't.
If they edited Henry, I think, yeah, if they would have cut it down to an hour and a half, it would be a much better film.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was coming at it, like I said, I was kind of interested to see, because whenever you see something like an Alan Smithee film or something like that, you've been tinkered with. It's kind of interesting to see where the original film might have, but I couldn't see, like, it didn't have obvious scars on it, right? It didn't have anything that was like, oh, this would be so much better if like I don't know. I didn't really do it for me. I mean, P.O.W. The Escape didn't do it for me either, really, but it was over and done with, and I like seeing people falling out of those wooden towers in jungles,
Yeah, I just prefer seeing people, suffering in cages and water myself, but each to their own.
Well, they both had that, didn't they? So
yeah.
So no one bit ahead of a rat or anything in either of these, though, unfortunately.
Well, I did, but I was watching it, so.
Well, you have to have a snack to go with your Guinness.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Okay, then. So there we go. B-Wise Chronicles episode was this 3rd one or something, isn't it? I think.
Indeed, yeah. So are you going to finish off with a Welsh song as well, or?
No, I think that's enough for. Unless you would like to chime in, would you like to do a bit of singing?
To be honest, I was so enamored by your performance, I couldn't even come close.
Okay, fair enough then. Right. So once again, then we implore you to be wise and join us again next time.
Indeed, yes.
Until then, cheerio.